Good morning, guys. We are still working our way through chapter 10 on geometry. We only have, I think, two more lessons to get through, and then we are done with chapter 10, and we'll move our way through chapter 11 and finish up with geometry for the year. So chapter 10's lesson 9 is on translations. So it's exactly what it kind of sounds like. So if you think about what translations mean, if you are talking about translating a language, you are saying the same thing but in a different way. So with translations in math, you are taking a shape and making it look the same, but just in a different place. So that'll make sense when we work our way through these couple of examples. So just a couple of keywords is one is transformation. So a transformation maps one figure onto another, which will kind of make more sense as we go throughout that. But the main key word that we're going to talk about today is what is called translation. So when you move a figure without turning it. So like on a game board, if you move spaces, a translation is kind of the same thing. You're not flipping it around. You're not making it look different. It's still going to look the same. You're just moving it up and down or left and right. So looking at a couple of examples that you guys will see with that. This is the first one, and it asks you to translate quadrilateral. So remember, quadrilateral is a shape that has four sides. In this case, they're not equal. So we're just going to call it a quadrilateral. And it's HIJK, and it's 2 units left and 5 units up. Then you're going to graph the new quadrilateral. So what you are actually going to do is to move each vertex. So remember, a vertex or vertices is where lines meet. So the corners are your vertex. In this case, they're also your coordinates. And then you are going to connect the 4 that you have moved. So looking at this, there's kind of a process for this. And if you want to go about it a little bit differently, that's fine. So just showing you how I would work through this. First of all, I should have had these shapes labeled, so we can write this as H, I, J, and then K. So my first step is I'm going to go in and label the 4 coordinates or the 4 vertices that I already have. So looking at I is at 1, so I move over 1. Remember, your coordinates are always x, y, so x is listed first, and this is x, and then up and down is y. So my first coordinate for I is moving over 1 and then up 3. So this is 1, 3. Then looking at J, I moved -1 and then up 1. So this is -1, +1. Then K is at 1, 2, 3, 4 over and then up 1. So -4, 1. And then H, I moved over 1, 2, 3, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is -3, +4 since I'm moving up. So what I need to do is I need to move each unit to the left, or move each coordinate 2 units, which in this case is boxes or spaces, to the left, and then 5 units up. So I'm going to start just with I, since that's where I started on the first one. So if I'm moving 2 units to the left, that would be 1, 2. So I'm now at a -1. And then I'm moving 5 units up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 would be right here. So it's kind of off of my graph. So you can also think about it as adding 5. So because this is X and this is Y, so my right and left is going to affect my first number. So if I move 2 units to the left, that's like subtracting 2. So 1 minus 2 is -1. And then if I have 3 and I'm moving up, that would be adding. So 3 plus 5 is 8. So my new point would be at -1, 8. Just for the sake of this, I'm going to erase this so it's not in the way. So that's where my first point is going to be. So now I'm done moving I. And then I'm going to choose a different color just so you guys can see the new points. So I have I. Now I'm going to move H. So H also needs to move over 2 units to the left. So now -4, -5, and then move 5 spaces up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be above this line. So I'm going to move it up here. Okay. Then I have J is at -1, 1. So I'm going to move it over 2. So 1, 2, and then move up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then K, I'm going to move over 2. So -6, and then move up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I were to connect these lines, my shape looks, if you're doing this on a piece of paper in an actual graph, they would look pretty similar to one another. So I have now translated the shape. So I didn't turn it, I didn't flip it, I just moved it from one spot to another spot. Okay. So looking at this slide, and this is not an example, it's just to kind of show you, but you are working with congruent figures. So what you are making is a congruent figure. So you're moving one shape and putting another one on the same graph. So you are making a shape that is the same size, the same shape, and they have the same sides and angles and have the same equal measures. So if I were to find the area or the perimeter or anything of this triangle, it would be the same exact of this triangle because they are the same. You didn't make it bigger, you didn't make it smaller, you just moved it on the graph. So looking at this, this is not graphing, it's just asking you to find the coordinates. So looking at this example, it says triangle LMN has the vertices L is at -1, -2, M is at 6, -3, and then N is at 2, -5. So you're going to find the vertices of new triangle LMN after a translation of 6 units left. So moving this way, so that would be negative, and then 4 units up. So this is going to be positive, and then graph the figure in its translated image. So on your homework, because it's on Google Classroom and Forms, you're not going to graph it. It will give you a graph and then just ask you to write the vertices. So on this example, I'm not going to graph it. I'm just going to show you how to find the coordinates of this. So if I know that my X is the one that moves left and right, and my Y is the one that moves up and down, that means all of these first numbers are going to be affected by moving left 6 spaces, and then all of my Y's are going to be affected by moving up 4 spaces. So if you want to graph to do this, that's fine, or if you just want to think about adding or subtracting them, that's fine as well. So think about if I'm already at -1 and then I add -6 to that. So if I add -6 to that, I'm continuing to move left. So I'm going left still. So I would have -1 plus -6, which would give me -7. So that's my new LX coordinate. So if you want to think about it as on a graph, that's -1. And then if I'm moving 6 spaces left, I would get to -7. Okay. And then for my Y, I'm going to go ahead and do all of L and then all of M and then all of N. So if I have -2, so I'm down here at -2, and then I'm adding, so I have -2 plus 4. Remember when you are adding or subtracting negative and positives, If you have a negative and a positive, you subtract them, but your answer keeps the sign of the larger number. So, or you can look at a graph. If I'm moving up 4, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. So I'm now at +2, or it would be the same way over here. 4 minus 2 is 2, and the 4 is the bigger number, which is positive. So my answer is going to be positive. So my new L would be -7, 2. Then M, you have 6, -3. So if I'm at 6 over here, and then I take away 6, or I move 6 units left, I have 6 minus 6, which is 0. So for M, my new X is 0. And then I have -3 plus 4. So I'm at -3 and I'm moving up 4. So 4 minus 3 is 1. And then my larger number is 4, which is positive. So my answer is always also going to be positive. Or again, you can use the graph. That's up to you. So 0, 1. Then for N, if I'm at +2 and then I move over left 6, so I'm subtracting 6, I have 6 minus 2, which is 4. My larger number is negative because of the 6. So this would be -4. Or you guys could use the graph again. So if I'm at 2 right here and I move over left 6, I'm moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which would put me at -4. So whichever way you want to do this. So I have -4, and then I have -5 plus 4 plus 4. If I'm at -5 and I move up 4, I would be at -1. So let's say I'm at -5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, which would put me at -1. So these are my new, these right here are my new coordinates for my new triangle that I have created. So it's subtracting from the X, or if you want to use a graph, or not necessarily a graph, just kind of do what I did to the side, that would be fine as well. Or draw it and just count it out. You don't actually have to like write on it and put new points. You can just do your best to count them out. So if you guys have questions, please let me know. I am more than happy to answer them for you. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.